moves like he's drawn the plan. Kinetic, bringing fire like he's leading the band. No matter the game, no matter the sport, we running this pod like it's fourth and short. Press start, lock in, it's game time again. You tune in live to the Sideline Show with Kinetic and Lights Match. Let's go, the game of Sideline starts now.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Kinetic 615, and I just want to welcome you back to the channel. This is the first time that I'm doing a video like this. I've just had some thoughts that I wanted to get out there with the Michigan USC game that happened this past weekend. This is just going to be sort of my own thoughts, unfiltered, on what I saw in the game, and more importantly, what I've seen within the fan base after the game. But again, this is going to be unfiltered thoughts. It might be a little bit of a stream of consciousness, me just talking. You guys know I'm not like a professional at this. I'm just here. I'm a fan. I'm just here to hang out with you guys, give my thoughts, and engage in discourse and conversation with y'all. I do expect there to be plenty of people that disagree with my takes in this video. Feel free to let me know what you disagree with in the comments. But as always, keep it respectful, keep it civil, don't get hateful. So let's go ahead and get into this. So this past Saturday, Michigan went out to California, the West Coast, to play the USC Trojans in Big Ten play. And it was an ugly game. Unfortunately, Michigan did lose that game 31-13. So with that game, I have plenty of criticisms about that game with what we saw from the players and the coaches. But based on what I've seen from the fan base on social media, on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, on other videos, platforms, my take is a little bit different. I saw it a little bit different. And who knows, maybe I'm the one that's wrong because, you know, I'm by far the least experienced at doing this podcasting and analytics stuff than a lot of the guys that I've watched and seen what they've said post game. But I still hold to my opinions on it and what I saw from that game. And so real quick, so again, we lost 31-13, but I don't think the game itself, if you look at the stats, was not necessarily as bad as what some people think it was. You look at Bryce's stats. He was 15 of 24, 207 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. We had Jordan Marshall and Justice Haynes both played part of the game because Justice Haynes unfortunately did get injured. Thankfully, it doesn't look like it's that serious. He may be questionable for the next game, but hopefully it's not going to linger too far beyond that. But Jordan Marshall came in and played, pretty well. Not quite as smooth. He had 14 carries for 68 yards. Justice Haynes had 10 carries for 51 yards. Neither one was able to get into the end zone. I will say Jordan Marshall was not seeing the field, seeing the holes as well as Justice Haynes usually does. There were a few runs that he had where I definitely was thinking in my head, man, Justice would have seen that. He would have hit that hole that was right there. But for the most part, I think Jordan Marshall did fine. Andrew Marsh had really a breakout game. He had eight catches. I think it was 8 catches on 8 targets. I may be wrong on that, but someone can fact check me in the comments on if he was targeted more. But he had 8 catches for 138 yards and a touchdown. I've been saying for a little over a week now since the Wisconsin game that I thought Andrew Marsh was clearly wide receiver 1A, 1B with McCulley. I would put him as wide receiver 1 above McCulley, except for the fact that McCulley just has a very specific skill set that nobody else on the team, aside from Jamar Browder, who we strangely didn't see in that game, I don't think. Let me check the his stat I didn't see, but well, that's neither here nor there. Jamar Browder is the only other one that has that skill set, and he's still very much a true freshman and needs development, needs polishing. But compare Bryce's stats to Jaden Mayava, who had a great game. Mayava threw the ball 8 more times than Bryce, completed 10 more passes than Bryce, and had 265 yards. So a little less than 50 yards more, but also had 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. You look at the running backs on USC; they played extremely well, and that's one of my first criticisms and one of my biggest criticisms of our defense. The run defense was almost non-existent there, and that's definitely something that needs to be shored up. I remember all offseason, all we heard about was the depth on the defensive line, the depth at edge, the depth at defensive tackle. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing the run stuffing. I'm not seeing the gap integrity. I'm not seeing the pressure. I mean, we weren't really getting consistent pressure without blitzing until we put Jayshawn Barham from linebacker down to edge, and thank the football gods for the emergence of Jimmy Rolder and Cole Sullivan as legitimate starting quality linebackers to there with Houseman to give us the freedom to move Jayshawn Barham around at edge and linebacker as needed. And he's an amazing weapon, but he needs to be coached as well. Sometimes he lets his athleticism, which is his biggest strength, also turn into his biggest weakness. He sometimes will overextend himself with his athleticism. He'll overplay his coverage or his assignment and put himself into a bad position. That said, I still think Jayshawn Barham is playing good enough that he's going to play himself into a first-round draft pick this upcoming April or March or whenever they do the next NFL draft. The other big criticism on the defense is that tackling. I said this repeatedly throughout the watch-along broadcast that I did on Saturday, is that there's zero excuse for the poor tackling that we saw. And I'm as big of a Wink Martindale defender as you'll find within the fan base. I was a fan of his before him or his system ever came to Ann Arbor. I was a fan of watching his defense with the Ravens, and I'm ecstatic to have him on the staff at Michigan. But there is zero excuse for poor fundamentals in tackling and wrapping up. There is zero excuse for not being able to cover your gaps and to not leave wide open gaps for the running backs, to leave the same middle area of the field open, uncovered repeatedly over the course of the game, and to not make adjustments on it. So I want to be very clear with, a lot of people are going to, I'm sure in the comments, come down on me for being too positive or apologetic for the staff. I want to be clear. I am 100% critical of the staff. I have criticisms. I have things that just are not acceptable and not good enough to hit the staff for. But that said, okay, so that said, this idea that we have to cut bait with the coaching staff, with Sharon Moore, Chip Lindsey, Wink Martindale. It's absolutely nuts, guys. It's absolutely insane. I've been seeing it for weeks. People saying, fire Chip, fire Sharon, Wink Martindale's garbage, bring back Jesse Minter. You guys, we're Michigan. We're supposed to be better than that. Y'all are acting like the fans of a school like Ohio State or one of those schools that fires their coach every season and a half because they can't get a magical overnight overhaul. It's insane. I've been saying this for over a year. Back when I was over on the Maze Madman channel, I've said it over on Voice of College Football with TJ and John. I've said it on Johnny Olden's channel. I've said it on every podcast that I've been on that's talked about Michigan over the last year. people are completely underselling the amount of a rebuild that Sharon Moore took over with this team. He took over a team that for years had no NIL support, had 2 or 3 seasons of very barren recruiting classes because Jim didn't have the NIL support to compete for the top players. And I think in a lot of ways mailed it in recruiting. His focus was on getting the national championship and doing what he could with what he had. But the recruiting just, I mean, go back and look at the rankings, it was top 15 usually at best. Sharon Moore changed that. Look at his recruiting since he started. Look at the recruiting in year 1 and year 2. He didn't have NIL support until June of 2024. He didn't have he was named the head coach of the team in February of 2024 after the winter portal, after all the potential coaching hires and staff. Well, not all, but a lot of them were already locked up in contracts that there weren't a lot to choose from. He was still finalizing his staff 2 weeks before the spring game. And even after the spring game and the spring portal opened up, and people always say, oh, well, he could have went out and got another quarterback. He could have went out and got another wide receiver. With what support? The spring portal opens and closes before NIL actually was supported by the administration at Michigan. You guys don't remember that prior to June of 2024, there was still a rule on the books against inducement. You could not induce high school players to commit to play at your school with financial incentive. Now, that didn't stop a lot of the other schools in the country from doing it, and ultimately it got challenged in court and struck down by the courts in June of 2024, and that's why Michigan's NIL didn't really kick off until after that. As much as the rival fans want to make this big stink and yell cheating all the time and all this stuff, Michigan cheaters, Michigan does everything they can to cheat. No, they don't. They literally would not do the same thing that y'all have been doing for decades, paying players under the table, playing players against the rules until it was legal. Okay? And look at what Sharon did for the 2024 class. Taking over in February of 2024, most schools had 2-3 years working on their 2024 class or 2025 class, excuse me. Sharon Moore had 6 months. 6 months. And he had a top 10 class. Had got flipped the number 1 quarterback, number 1 player in the country. Flipped Nate Marshall back to Michigan. Flipped Andrew Babalola. Flipped Ty Haywood. Or not, didn't flip Andrew Babalola, but got Andrew Babalola. Got Andrew Marsh. Flipped Jamar Browder. Flipped Shamari Earls. Elijah Dotson. Like all of these players that we love so much. Got Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng, who committed because not only Sharon Moore, but Wink Martindale in his NFL system. His NFL experience. Then you look at what he's doing with the current class. You guys like Savion Hyder? You guys like Malachi Lee? I mean, I don't think you guys understand what Sharon's doing. And if we fire Sharon now, we can say goodbye to all those recruits. We can say goodbye to the players that are on the team that we think are the future, that we see the bright spots of. Because I guarantee you, for anyone that's not plugged in, and I'm not the most plugged in, but I do have sources that I can talk to. And I'm telling you right now that the players, the recruits, are 1,000% bought into Sharon Moore as the head coach. 1,000% bought in to the system that Chip Lindsey is trying to install at Michigan to open up the offense. 1,000% bought in to the Wink Martindale Baltimore Ravens defense, the NFL style defense. So if we make that change, we lose everything that we're looking at that's trending up for Michigan. And why? All because you guys can't stomach the time it takes to turn over a very barren cupboard and rebuild. Like, we knew that Sharon Moore was the right guy when we hired him, and we knew he was going to be a first-year head coach. Just like we knew that Bryce Underwood was probably going to start when we flipped him. And we knew that he was going to be a true freshman and that he was going to make mistakes. The overthrows, the underthrows, missing Justice Haynes in the backfield on 5 yards away from him. Those are freshman mistakes. The game management stuff from Sharon, those are first-time head coach mistakes. He hasn't even coached a full 2 seasons. His first recruiting class, as amazing as it is, are still true freshmen. Andrew Babalola, Andrew Marsh, Bryce Underwood. Those are the 3 guys from the freshman class that were expected to be heavy contributors first year. Andrew Babalola gets hurt. Bryce and Marsh have looked great. But if you're going to give Bryce the grace of being a true freshman, you got to give Sharon Moore the grace of being a first-time head coach. He's going to be a great head coach, and I would rather rock with him through the ups and downs and the learning curves of becoming a first-time head coach at a major program and him become that great coach here than watch him leave because we cut bait on him too soon and watch him go be a great head coach somewhere else. Just because we're Michigan doesn't mean that we can take a true freshman, put him out there at quarterback, and him be a Heisman Trophy candidate year one. Just because we're Michigan doesn't mean that we can take a first-time head coach and expect him to go out there and be Nick Saban from year one. There's no magic maize and blue-colored fairy dust that we can sprinkle over the program to bypass the natural course of development on the coaching staff and on the field. Sharon Moore is 11-6 through his first 17 games, with the barren roster that he was given last year, propped up by a bunch of first-round draft picks. Go back and look at the roster last year. Look at the talent disparity from the top to the bottom of that roster. We had a walk-on quarterback, which, all due respect to Davis Warren, I refuse to slander him because he went out there and played his heart out for us. But we had a walk-on quarterback. And aside from him, we had a quarterback that was really a linebacker trying to play quarterback. And again, all love to Alex Orji. I met him after the 2024 spring game. Great dude, and I hope he succeeds wherever he goes. But he wasn't an effective quarterback for 2024 with Michigan. Jack Tuttle, great dude. But he had surgery on his elbow, on his throwing arm that didn't heal correctly. That was what we had at quarterback. We had a offensive coordinator running the most simplistic, basic peewee football offense with zero creativity, zero adaptation to our offensive roster. And he just did not properly use our quarterbacks, did not properly use our running backs. Sharon Moore still went 7-5, 8-5 with the ReliaQuest Bowl win. Beat all of our rivals, including the eventual national champion Ohio State on the road, including for the second time Alabama in the ReliaQuest Bowl. To this point in the season, he is 17 games into his head coaching career, 20 games if you want to count the interim head coach stuff, or I guess 21 games from the interim head coach stuff from 2023. Some people count it, some people don't. To put that in perspective, now I'm not a Detroit Lions fan. I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan, Skol Vikes. But as many of you know, I don't hate the Lions, and I know many of Michigan Wolverines fans are Lions fans. So to put this in perspective for y'all, for something that you guys might be able to rock with, look at Dan Campbell. Okay, look at Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell, before the program turned around, was 4-19-1 through his first 24 games. 2 college seasons, 12 games each is 24 games. Through his first 24 games as a head coach of the Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell was 4 wins, 19 losses, and a tie. Now, how foolish would it be if you go back and look at people 17 games into Dan Campbell's tenure saying, fire Dan Campbell? It's ridiculous. Jim Harbaugh, first years as a head coach at a major program, at Stanford, who at the time was a Power 5 school, playing a Power 5 schedule. First 2 seasons, 5-13. 5-13. But are you going to tell me Jim Harbaugh's a trash coach? Because his first 2 seasons as a big-time head coach in college football were tough? No, you're not. Yes, Sharon needs to do some things. He needs to work on the fundamentals, just like I said with the defense. He needs to let Chip Lindsey call the plays. Give up control of the offense, Sharon. I say this with all love, and not being in the meetings and in the the team coordination. I don't know how much of it you're still holding on to, but from the outside looking in, it looks like you talking to Sharon. It looks like you are like there is a difference between the 2 weeks that you were suspended, and we had Biff Poggi assumedly allowing Chip Lindsey to run his offense. It flowed better. There was more cohesion and more feel for the game and the way that the game was going, the flow of the game. The offense felt more fluid those 2 weeks. So whatever changed during those 2 weeks, contrasted to the first 2 weeks and the 2 weeks since you've been back, let it go. Let Chip Lindsey run the offense. You want to veto a certain play here and there because you feel strongly about it, fine. But for the most part, you brought Chip Lindsey in for a reason. That reason was Bryce Underwood. That reason was to revamp the offense. That reason was to show proof of concept to other receivers, to change the culture in a good way while still maintaining Michigan's identity. The smash football concept, blended with Chip Lindsey's power spread and his adaptability to the personnel that we have, as our friend John Diadamo over on the Voice of College Football dubbed the offense the spread and smash. Where is it? Let him do the job that you brought him here for. And take that focus that you have on trying to keep your thumb on the play calling and turn that focus to the offensive line. Your bread and butter, what you did as a player, what you made your name with at Michigan with the Joe Moore award-winning offensive lines. Because Greg Newsome isn't getting it done. And again, all the respect to Greg Newsome. He's not getting it done. He's just not getting it done. So this is where you as a head coach need to step in and shore that up. You don't need to be policing Chip Lindsey on how much he opens up the offense. Let him do his thing. Why is the offensive line so inconsistent? Why are we still starting Samaj Morgan when he's clearly cannot catch the ball consistently? I don't care how good he is at running routes. I don't care how good he is with the ball in his hands. If he can't catch the ball consistently, take him out. Your best 4 pass catchers right now are Donovan McCulley, Andrew Marsh, Marlon Klein, Hogan Hansen, now that he's back. You've run 12 personnel heavy before. Chip Lindsey has run 12 personnel heavy before. You got 2 great backs. Run 12 personnel. Run some 21 personnel. Run some split backs. Run some duo. Get your playmakers that have shown consistency on the field. And when you want to spread it out and you want to bring in a third receiver, start rotating the other guys in. Morgan, Goodwin, Bell, Simpson, O'Leary, whoever else we've got on the roster. Rotate them in. Let them show you that they deserve the job. Have them take the job from the 12 personnel. Have them be undeniable that they need to be on the field. Because that's not what Samaj Morgan's doing. Play to your team abilities, to your personnel. But all that said, firing Sharon is a complete waste of time. It's a stupid notion. And to the title of this video, when I say Michigan fans have a problem, the toxicity of our fan base, turning on the players last year, turning on the coaching staff. For all the reasons that I just mentioned, it's ridiculous. But not only turning on the players and the fans, because listen, contrary to what you want to believe, the players see that. The players see social media. I don't care if they tell you they don't. Yes, they do. Anyone that knows them that's telling the truth will tell you, yes, they do. And if they don't see it, their family and friends see it. Either way, it gets back to them. And you don't think that makes them lose faith in the fan base? If you got a group of players that go out there fighting hard, putting their heart out on that field for all of us, for all of their teammates, for all of their coaches, and you're giving up on them, you're turning on them, you want the school to fire their coaches? You don't think that affects them? You don't think the recruits that are considering Michigan don't see that and it doesn't affect them? I guarantee you it does. Think it doesn't? Live in delusion all you want, but it does. And the problem within the fan base is that not only are you turning on the team and on the players and on the coaches, but you turn on each other. I have been attacked on social media relentlessly. It was some consistency over the last year since I started doing podcasting, since I started being guests on shows, since I started actually being present on Twitter. There's always been some pushback, people that disagree with me, that's fine. But to come at me on social media, attacking me, calling me names, calling me like being hateful towards me because of my disability, because I'm seeking disability, because I'm not able to work right now, because I refuse to be negative towards our team, towards our players, towards our coaches, because I refuse to be impatient and ridiculous in my takes, because I don't agree with you, and you come at me and you turn on me and other fans that don't get negative with you, that don't join you in your negativity, like you're just miserable and want everyone else to be miserable around you. And if they're not, then they're trash, then their opinions don't matter, then people can just write them off. We're supposed to be Michigan. We're supposed to be better than that. So do better, Michigan. Michigan fans, do better. Those players, those 18 to 24-year-old kids that go out there on a weekly basis, putting their heart and soul on that field for us, for our entertainment, the coaches that put in sleepless nights and long hours on a weekly basis, you think they don't want to win? You think they're okay with losing? You think that they're okay with mediocrity? No. They want to win 1,000 times more than you do. They feel every loss 1,000 more times than you do. Give them respect. Be better. We act like we're all high and mighty, like we're better than other schools and fan bases. We're supposed to be. And it sickens me to see our fan base turning on each other and turning on the players and the staff the way that we are. If you're going to do that, you might as well exit stage left and go be the fan of someone else. Go be a fan of Nebraska. Go be a fan of Ohio State. Go be a fan of Penn State if you want to act like that. But that's not Michigan. That's not a Michigan man. That's not maize and blue values. Do better. All right, guys. This video went 3 times longer than I expected it to or wanted it to. I'll get better at doing these videos. It's my first one. Don't be too harsh on me in the comments. If you took offense to this, I apologize. But at the same time, if you took offense to it, then maybe the shoe fits a little bit. And examine yourself. Be better. Be Michigan. As always, guys, catch me on all social media platforms at Kinetic615, on Twitter, on X, on Discord, on Instagram, any platforms. If you want to see if I'm on there, search for Kinetic615. If you can't find me, I'm not on there. I'm happy to have conversations with people. I'm happy to try to respond back to messages and just come with respect. We can agree to disagree. We can have different opinions, and I'll talk to you, as much as you want, but be respectful. Check me out on here on Kinetic 615 for sports takes, Kinetic 615 plays for gaming. Over on the Gamer Sideline on Friday nights and randomly throughout the week with my buddy Lichimac 626. Saturday mornings on for the AM Scramble over on the Final Whistle Network with my guys Lucian and Mike. Watch-alongs for the Michigan Wolverines and the Minnesota Vikings during the games here on my channel. If you get a moment, make sure to like, share, subscribe. Check out the GoFundMe link in the description. It's also in my YouTube bio and pinned at the top of my X profile. For those that are aware, I'm nearing the end of needing to keep the campaign going. I'm just currently waiting for the arbitration hearing to be set for the disability where I should get approved, and just could use still a little bit of help getting to that point. And for those that don't, I haven't been following along, maybe you're seeing this channel for the first time. If you would take a moment to look through the GoFundMe, I appreciate anyone that takes the time to even look at it. If you can donate, please do. Any amount helps. If you can't donate, that's okay. I wouldn't ask anyone to do more than they can, but even sharing it out on your social media, tag me in it. It only takes the right person to see it at the right time to be generous enough to be able to help and change the whole situation for us. So, but again, guys, it's all love. I love all of y'all. I love Michigan. I bleed maize and blue, and I just want us to be better with each other, be kind to each other, support each other, be respectful. We can have discourse, we can have disagreements, but be respectful about it. Don't be rude. Don't be mean. Don't be mean-spirited. All right, guys? Until next time, go blue.
From joystick dreams to Friday night lights, it's controllers and cleats under podcast mics with Life Max dropping deep like he's throwing a bomb, and Kinetic calling audible, staying calm in the storm. From the field to the sticks, yeah, we bring the heat. With Kinetic and Life Max, never miss a beat. When the final whistle blows or the credits roll, we're signing off strong, that's our gamers take control. Catch us on the sideline, where legends chill, where the playbooks flip and the passion's real. If you heard the takes, then you know the drill. Till next time, fam, keep it clutch, keep it skill. From the field to the sticks, yeah, we bring the heat. With Kinetic and Lichmax, never miss a beat. When the headset's off and the lights go low, we'll be back next game, y'all already know. We out.